All right, I turned off my camera. So when I said, let's look at the work. So we're going to go jumping into the work here. So I am doing some language studies, a lot of the root languages. I want to understand culturally where the breakdown is, because I was raised by different caregivers at different times. And so when I was with my mom for 0 to 10, I had a certain understanding of the world. My DNA carried a certain language, and I also had, not language, but like a certain predisposition to stimulus, if you will, if we call that like the vocal language. And kind of what moves us. And then at 3, at some point throughout that third year, which in 0 to 3, 12 months can be like eons, right? In development, just the differences. So we're talking about 0 to 3. And then there is further relationship ruptures. And then there was the constant moving from school, from learning environment to learning environment to learning environment. And then there was the consistent learning environment in the non-academic settings, but in the familial settings, whether they be with family as caregivers, with cousins as caregivers, because that's all learning environment, that's all learning stimulus. Okay, so this is part 2 of a video that I started today on Tuesday, April 7th. It is now 7:57 a.m. So, just to show you, I'm on Mac. So I want to go through, ultimately, I guess, how I would break down today's video. 1 was around career, boardroom, experience and experiential learning, and how I communicate that, as well as my academic training, based on the language I had available to me at the time, roughly, if I can summarize, if I'm remembering correctly. So then this part 2 is actually walking through the various ways that my brain processes data, and a little bit of the progress on the organization of my workspace, which is ultimately kind of like the central room for all the different compartments in my mind and body where I store all of these different data points. Okay, so I started this work in earnest, actually wanting to publish it academically from a integrative somatic coaching standpoint, when I started my newsletter on LinkedIn. It would have been in 2023. I wrote an article for a magazine that I no longer believe in. And so I pulled my article and I stopped doing the work, because I started looking at the patterns, and they were just really like brainwashy, gougy, money-sucking vampires. I just didn't like any of the associations I was coming up against as professional organizations training me to do the work. And so I realized that I was falling into like this pattern of spending and lowering my self-worth, kind of like the social media patterns that happen in children, but towards my business, towards my relationships and my work. And so I was studying my trauma and also healing my trauma, and just living real life, and having real responsibilities and work. And so I kept stalling at my work, and this is how I understood that the way my brain processed data, impacts the way my nervous system allows me to execute on that data. One of the articles that I wrote was about shame, and then I stopped because I realized like there was so much more that I wanted to say and get into than I could really just summarize in 3 little keys. And so my work has grown from then incredibly. I did up a vision board, and I still have it. I've printed it multiple times in multiple iterations. But the work comes down to it, and I'm starting to see how that work is now executing. So this kind of goes into studying the mechanics of coaching work and neural rewiring, which can also be used as brainwashing. And there is a difference. There is a key difference to that, right? So, namely being the internal, external driving components, and then the well-being manifested in the individual as these neural rewiring techniques are being used. It's not any different than going into a diet that causes you to lose weight too fast and then nearly kills you. So, just saying. Those rinse and repeat. Let me make you a TED Talk speaker in 10 days. Let me write your program and then sell it in this many days. All of that is kind of like similar bioengineering, which can be used as biohacking in the long term. So, yeah. Anyways, here's my work in progress, just in case y'all figure out how to jump timelines in this crazy world and come back and try to steal it. This is why it won't work, and y'all should stop fucking with my work in my life and stop jumping timelines. Thank you. Okay. So key 1 was why shame should be removed from the equation. Key 2 was your relationship with yourself matters. And key 2 was removing shame from the equation. I don't remember what key 1 was. Oh, understanding why you're, or where you stand in that change. Key 2 was removing shame from the equation. Key 3 is your relationship with yourself and why it matters, basically. But that then, because of my neurodivergent brain, that actually processes data like archaic intelligence super fast, like a goddess. Basically, it wants to contribute understanding to different categories. So I'm doing language studies, I'm studying astrology, I'm studying history, I'm studying religion from a different angle than I've studied it in the past, from a bioengineering standpoint. And I'm still continuing the neural rewiring work of my trauma patterns that disrupt the basically the stasis in my nervous system. Okay. Dream analysis, that lovely dream of my sister on a retro 1980s, 1970s, 1960s TV box set. Still had the little dials on it, basically, telling me like, Mufasa, remember who you are. What the fuck? So opening myself up to my dream analysis, and all of that's come from that. My artistic oracles, the paintings and the beautiful things that happen. My botanical art and my actual somatically inspired anchoring somatic work that is hand created or hand used. My study in time travel and why it feels like we know things, and ultimately what it feels like time travel is to me is like critical analysis of a situation based on your understanding of previous patterns and how intensely they're wired in your brain in the past that make you feel like you're in the past and in the future all at once. So I was here, I am here, I will be here. From a trauma standpoint, this is what I learned. This is how I'm acting it out. This is how I'm going to repeat the pattern. From a woo-woo standpoint, oh my God, I dreamt this. Oh my God, it came to life. I manifested it. Oh my God, I'm going to create millions. Do you hear the voice? There's a reason for it. There's a reason for all the little data points that I drop here. It's breadcrumbs. I don't always understand them right away, but I'm starting to understand that I should pay attention to them when I drop them. So I'm watching my own work very intently to know what the fuck I'm gifting myself without knowing from an unconscious standpoint. From my I was here pattern to I will be here patterns. And also not letting fear drive the I will be here so that I fuck up and self-sabotage things that are actually good for me. Okay. Time flow, how we get ourselves in the spiral as all of the woke people sing about on their songs. So where am I engineering the time I'm having? Am I having a good time or a bad time? Or where am I time traveling in my trauma to the past? Just saying. All right. Inner dance is a modality that I was introduced to by a beautiful human who I've already given credit to somewhere on my socials, somewhere in my writings. I do this, or I learned it as an open. I teach it as a protocol, as a structured modality under my Somatic Resonance protocols. Okay? So then somatic emotive dance, again, another protocol branch from my Somatic Resonance. There's an objective always in my work, and there's a process. And then there's observation, and then there's all kinds of stuff that goes along with the executable actions. And this is why I often can read people so well, because the patterns in the past allow me to anchor into what I know about them to trust them or not, but also allows me to call bullshit on the things that their own unconscious is going to get in their way. And then my body gives me feedback on how I feel about the circumstance or situation, which allows me to know how to act and what not to say. Most importantly in my world, because I say a lot. Okay, then there's somatic astrology, nervous system astrology, basically. That's what that is. And the relationship to elements and our environment at an anatomical level, I guess, based on physics. So there are three protocols that are involved in, or three modalities that are involved in somatic astrology, which is the concepts of somatic resonance, somatic astrology itself. And then this is where the pickle begins and people keep jumping timelines to fuck with me, is hydroatomic power. Yeah. I've never heard anybody say that word before. But basically, hydroatomic power is the fuel at the atomic level, not even at the biological level, which is the ecosystem of atoms, is how I understand the biological level, which is animated atoms. Okay. So much in that I have to unpack still. I understand it clearly unconsciously because I'm spitting it out and I'm not going like panicking, because my body panics when I lie. So anyways, here we go. hydroatomic power. And so what I am using to inform these studies is medicine, modern biology, modern physics in 2026, that is, today when I'm speaking. Vedic astrology and whatever's been written or spoken or promoted about it, because we can read through the lines, we can read through the bullshit. There's a lot of ways to check the math, if you will. So Vedic astrology, as well as tropical or zodiac astrology, so that we can look at it from our somatic astrology, which would then be our more foundational experience here on the earth as bodies with life and animation and thought capacity, critical thinking skills. Oh, the lights. Then there's the somatic resonance piece, which I would call that like the mechanics. Yeah. Yeah, I guess. Integrative somatic coach. I mean, I'm a mind, body, soul mechanic. Whatever. I don't know. I watched too many movies lately about the dire future. Anyways, somatic resonance is about the fuel, I guess, that in our understanding and relationship to the world. I'm also, so for the last video, part 1, I was really talking about career and life. And so how I'm integrating this piece is in my work, I'm taking the people that have really supported my work foundationally, like before I knew I was doing my work, because that's what's actually informed. It's the experience that's actually informed the way I speak about my work and the way I pursue my work, because of the language and understanding that I have. I had a lot of words in classroom settings and a lot of courses that I paid for, but it's not until I take it away and look at my own life and I'm like, well, how does this apply in my reality? Or how do I see this playing out in my reality? Until I study it in my real world from my perspective of experience, it's not actually, it doesn't kind of make sense. I don't see it, if you will. I can't grasp the perspective. I don't know what I don't know, basically. Okay, then into my art, because all of this basically takes me back to me. And what all of this does is it gives me a chance to relate to my work objectively. What elements are me and what elements are my work? And just noticing that on the camera, I'm just going to turn towards the light. I'm just observing myself as I explain this, because I'm noticing my voice changing, where it's getting really raspy, and I'm feeling that kind of tension here. So that's a pattern of being seen and expressing discomfort. Whoa, as soon as I named it, I could feel like my chest lightening up, and just that very like that release, that that physical somatic release. Okay, that's enough of an update today. I'm back to work and I'm probably gonna take another nap. All right, friends, bye.